I can hear you now. Yes. Hey,
Hi,
Maria.
Senator. Yeah, we've been trying to get you. I think I've been talking to myself here. But Senator, I want you to talk to us about how significant this issue is. I had Tom Cotton on, your colleague, a couple of weeks ago, and he told me that the Chinese Communist Party sends researchers in, engineers in to our medical labs and research institutions, and what they're doing is just stealing the information, and then they're turning around and they're actually filing for patents to make it appear that they actually came up with this research themselves. Can you lay out the issue for us, Senator?
Well, Maria, it's even worse than that. You and I have talked about it before, and I appreciate your following this. For 20 years now, the Chinese government has been systematically targeting promising research in the United States, and they're doing it through the researchers themselves. So you remember the story about the Harvard professor who was recently arrested. There have been 3 more just in the last couple of weeks who've been arrested. These are individuals who have signed up with what's called the 1,000 Talents program that China has. They pay these people to take their research that they're doing here that's taxpayer funded. So in the most recent case was one in Ohio, actually, a Cleveland Clinic researcher getting money from the NIH, National Institutes of Health. They pay that person to take the research to China, set up labs for them in China. In this case, this professor actually took biological samples to China, and then they, in turn, steal that research. And you're right, sometimes they make it harder for us to get it back because they put patents on it. So this is outrageous. It's been happening for a long time. We're finally waking up to it. Thanks to an investigation we did, which took a year, thanks to a report we put out last year, the Justice Department, the FBI is now beginning to put a stop to this by arresting individuals, but they need more tools. So we also have legislation to tighten it up all through the process, including giving our law enforcement officials the tools they need to stop this really stealing of American innovation and technology.
You know, one of the issues, I think, Senator, is that people, or many people, do not understand the national security risk that is China. You know, I mean, for a long time, global CEOs just were thinking about 1.4 billion people per population. I want to sell my, widgets there, everything from, whatever it is, Starbucks coffee to household products to credit cards. I want to get into the Chinese market and sell to the 1.4 billion people there because it's going to mean big money for me, the global CEO. I mean, do these university professors not understand that they're being paid by the communist government?
Well, I think they're starting to understand it because we're exposing it. We had a State Department official testify before us in a hearing, and he made it very clear that the Chinese Communist Party is using these universities as a way to fuse the research and their economic buildup and their military buildup. So, this is a national security issue. It's a national economic security issue, but also it's a military issue because some of the research is actually military research and funded by places like the Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health. Our tax dollars, $150 billion a year we spend to do research. We get a lot of return on that. Research is a good thing, but not if the Chinese come in and take that research and commercialize it before we can, and then use it in some cases against us.
I talk about a lot of this in my recent China special on Fox Nation, America versus China. And the point being is that the Chinese Communist government has been very clear. They want to be the #1 superpower economically and militarily. And they will do whatever it takes to get there, whether it's stealing intellectual property, putting military bases across the world. What can we do about it, though? I mean, it's very difficult to decipher who's working for the CCP, who's working to steal for the Communist Party, and who is just a student who wants to come to America and learn. Your colleague, Senator Cotton, said, look, we need to start limiting visas for those Chinese students who want to study things like quantum computing and AI. We should not be giving them a leg up knowing that they want to be the #1 superpower militarily. What are your thoughts on that? How are you actually going to stop this?
Well, first of all, our legislation does a very effective job at stopping it all through the system. It starts with visas, actually, and it says the State Department should be permitted, when they know someone is coming here to access sensitive information and they suspect us to take it back to China, they have no ability now not to grant those visas. They have to grant them. So they're looking for that. This is career State Department folks who came and testified before us. That's in the legislation. Second is our research institutions. They're terrific. National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health, Department of Energy has a lot of basic research. But they have not been working together and transparent in terms of where their grants are going. So the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, so we tighten that up as well, requiring people obviously, to disclose on their applications to get this research whether they're getting money from the Chinese government. They don't have to do that now. There's no law against it. So we add a law that says that it's illegal to hide that information from these institutions and to hide it from your university, by the way. The university community needs to come along here because they're the ones ultimately who are being defrauded. And then finally, we do tighten it up at the university level and say if you have someone that has access to sensitive information, you have to report that and allow the State Department to know it, allow others to know it, including the FBI, so they can take appropriate actions to help safeguard our innovation. So there are a number of steps we can and should take.
Senator, we're showing a graphic right now of all of the university professors that have been arrested or have been known now to have taken money from the communist government. I mean, the issue is China has created a number of lobbies in the United States, right? The university area is one lobby because they've given so much money to universities that chairmen of universities, professors at these universities know that, you know, China's writing their checks. They're getting money from them. So they want to push forward the CCP. Right. The same thing with Hollywood, right? Similar thing with Hollywood. Right. Chinese communist governments paying for movies, dictating how these movies should be produced. And that's why you see these globalists in Hollywood saying, no, China's great. Let's keep doing it. Not recognizing the national security risks.
You're absolutely right. And we need to know that. By the way, another part of our legislation says if you receive $50,000 or more from a foreign government, any foreign government, including China, you now would have to report that. We make the reporting, easy to do, streamline it, so we're not trying to add more burdens. But we have to know this information. That's the world within which we live. We've been naive about it. When the FBI testified before us late last year, they acknowledged, which is unusual for law enforcement, I suppose, that they really had been asleep at the switch. They said that we should have caught on to this many years before. We are now going to be on top of it. And to their credit, they have been. The Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney's offices, the FBI are now on top of it and dealing with it. But, Maria, frankly, we have been naive, and we have allowed this to happen, and it's helped to fuel the rise of the Chinese economy and the Chinese military. We want to have research in this country. We want people from all over the world to want to come to America, which has been the case because our research enterprise is so innovative, so open, so interesting to them to be part of it. That's good. But what we don't want is for them to misuse that and misappropriate our research, particularly the taxpayer-paid research, which I think is the biggest outrage. And I think there's a balance here we've got to reach. Encouraging research, of course, being open to people coming from other countries to help us with that research. We have so many countries that are allied countries that benefit from our research. We benefit from theirs. That's all good. We want to keep all that. So there's a balance here. I think we can achieve it.
Well, you would think that the rest of the world is allied with the United States in not wanting the Communist Chinese Party to be running the world and to be carrying on this bad behavior in terms of theft and the tracking of citizens and the jailing of Muslims, all of that. Senator, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks very much. We certainly will keep on it.
Thanks for following this story.
Senator
we appreciate
Rob Portman.
You. Take care.